Welcome to the Dada and Boys podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Dada and Boys podcast. I'm DB. I am the host. And joining me, very inspirational story. 2-time stroke survivor. It's almost like a WWE entrance, huh? 2-time champion. I can't imagine how that's impacted your life, and we're going to get to it right now. Richard, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me on.
So, how we know each other, our kids are friends. Yeah. Both little rambunctious little shits.
Kindergarten buddies.
But you have 2 kids.
I have 2 kids, yeah. Actually, I have 3. We lost one, so my daughter would have been born in 2010. She was a stillborn.
Oh, man. Sorry to hear that.
So, thank you. I appreciate it. And so I do have 2 children. I do have my daughter, who is 12, and Adriel, who is 7.
Was there any indications on that child that you lost? Was there any indications that something was going to go wrong?
No. We went to a checkup. My girlfriend was 5 months pregnant. We went to a checkup. And it seemed like everything was fine in the morning. You know, she is feeling kicks or whatever. We go to the doctor's office, and we went for an ultrasound, but they didn't hear a heartbeat. So kind of like a slap in the face, you know. She was there in the morning, and then by the time we got to the doctor's office and got back to see the doctor, she was no longer there.
How far along was she?
5 months. 5 months pregnant.
Then you guys had your daughter, pregnant with your daughter. There was obviously that sense of worry and scare.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. So same thing. So the first time there was complications. Going in for the second pregnancy, there was also complications. And, you know, we were kind of scared as well. Like, you know, are we going to have this baby? Is she going to be healthy? And then obviously she came out and she was good.
With my son, we had a little bit of a scare as well. But he tried to make his entrance a little bit early, very early, like close to like 30 weeks. And the doctors were just like, he can't come yet. He's gonna have a plethora of health issues if he's born. So they did a lot of things to try to stop, and luckily they did. And what's ironic is that she didn't even know that was happening. She went just for a regular checkup, and you're in labor right now. Well, that's not good. So they stopped it. We're in the hospital for 2 weeks. But then she had to go for checkups like multiple times a week afterwards just to make sure he's all right. Well, he had the umbilical cord around his neck. So when he came out, he was purple. They took it off, and he wasn't crying. It scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
He wasn't crying. But the nurses were just like, they just give him a little boop with the air. And he was just like, and he's like looking around.
Similar situation with Adriel. So when he was born, he was actually, I believe, eating the placenta. So he was choking on it when he was born. So when they're born, they're checking the heart rate, checking the oxygen, and his oxygen level is just dropping. And so we're going from like, oh, happy because he's here, to they're taking the baby. What are they doing? And they took him to the side of the operating room, and I went over there to see what's happening. And then nurse started pushing me away, like, no, you need to move back, or we're gonna call the security and take you out. I was like, what's going on, man? Like, what the hell's going on? And like, me and Yesenia were kind of like in lost for words, like what's going on with their son. And so he was choking, or like he was blocking his airway. And so they had to do some type of, I don't know what they did, where they were like trying to clear his air path. And finally they got it going. And so it was kind of like a relief, because you're kind of going back down that road, is this another child that we may lose?
Considering what you've already been through. Mm-hmm. So there was no communication like what they're doing?
No, they wouldn't tell you nothing.
Hell no.
And then I was like, I was going to pull out my because you're happy, you have a son, newborn baby, and like first thing you want to do is pull out your phone and take a picture, and like they're like, no, you got to put your camera away. It's like, what the hell? What's going on here?
But luckily everything was fine.
Yeah, he's good, man. He's a little monster.
So we mentioned the strokes. We were talking. I thought you had 1. You're like, oh no, 2.
Yeah, 2.
So take me down that path on how that came to be. What is that like?
So both times I was just, going about my daily life. I believe the first time, how old was I? I forget. I know the second one was 32 years old. But the first one, I thought I was hungover because, it was my birthday weekend and I went out drinking, had a good time. Went to go play golf again, drinking some more. And like I kind of felt like I had a hangover that wouldn't go away. And so I was going to school at that time, and I remember being in college, and the professor looked at me and was like, "Hey, man, are you all right?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "You don't look so good." I'm like, "No, I'm good." Next day, I ended up in the ER because I went home, went to sleep. Next morning, my girlfriend took off to work, and I stayed at home, because I was unemployed at the time. I just lost my job. And so she comes home for lunch. She's like, "Hey, you gonna get up and get some food?" I was like, "No, I'm okay. I'm not hungry." She's all right. So she did her lunch, took off to work, came back at 5. "Hey, you're still asleep?" I was like, "No, I'm tired." She's like, "No, you've been asleep all day. Have you got up?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Something's wrong with you. Like, get up." She's like, "I brought you some food." And I was like, "No, I'm fine. Just leave me alone." She's like, "No." She's like, "I think you need to get up and get some food. You've been sleeping all day. Get up." So I tried to get up out of the bed, and right when I did, I felt like a massive pain on the side of my head, maybe like if somebody had punched me. And right away, I grabbed my head, and she's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "It's painful. It hurts." I started getting delusional, where I was getting angry, and I was telling her that I was already up all day, and I was speaking, I wasn't making sense when I was talking. And she said, let's get you up, let's get you to the hospital. If not, I'm gonna call the ambulance to pick you up. What do you want? And so I said, let's just strap me down. So I ended up going down to Clovis Community Hospital, and by the time I got there, I was so delusional, I didn't know what was going on. I was trying to check in, and I just started yelling at the, whoever the receptionist. And I just didn't really know what's going on. And then next thing you know, I'm being transferred from Clovis Community to Fresno. Was it Fresno Community? And then I wake up, and my head is shaved, and I have all these tubes hanging out of my head. And I didn't know what was going on, because basically my head was just being filled with blood. And so what they had to do is they had to drain it. And so I had no recollection of what was going on. Partial memory loss, I believe. And then so they told my girlfriend when he wakes up, he there's a possibility he might not be able to move. But when I woke up, the only thing that was wrong is I was cloudy. I didn't know what's going on. I didn't know where I was at. I didn't know what happened. And it went on for about 2 weeks, or for the 2 weeks stay that I was there. And little by little, memories started coming back, and I started getting better. But I didn't have really any big deficits from that stroke. Come 2015 is when I had a full-blown stroke, and that's the one that left me with left body deficit, so no left arm, no left leg. And you think, it's just your leg and your arm, but you can't even sit up. There's your back has no balance. I didn't really have the face droop or anything like that, but that one was a bigger shocker. I believe I was having lunch at home, and I felt something in my head. So I don't know if you ever feel like when you think you're hungry and your stomach rumbles. And so I was eating, but I felt that in my head. And I was like, "No, that's not right." And so I got up and I told Yesenia, which is my girlfriend, I was like, "Hey, you know what?" I was like, "Something's going on. I think you should call the ambulance." She's like, "Why?" I was like, "I felt something in my head, and it's not right." And as I was walking to the kitchen at my house, both my legs gave out. And so I ended up falling into the counter in my kitchen, and I was holding myself up with just my 2 arms. And by the time we had to call for an ambulance or whatever, and basically just threw me on a stretcher and took me into the hospital, where later on they found out that I did have a stroke. And then to make it worse, man, I believe it was caused by pneumonia. So I thought I was sick. I thought I had a flu or something. And I was taking over-the-counter medication. When you have high blood pressure, you're not supposed to take over-the-counter medication like NyQuil, Theraflu, anything like that, because it'll make your blood pressure worse. So I thought I was sick. I was taking this, over-the-counter medication. Turns out I was never really. I didn't even have a flu. I had pneumonia, and so my lungs were just filling up with water. And so when I was in the ER, I remember telling one of the nurses, I was like, "Hey, I was like, I don't think I could breathe." They're like, "No, you're fine. Just take deep breaths. You're okay." And I was like, "That's it?" I was like, I can't breathe. I was running out of breath. And so another nurse came by. She's like, check his lungs, see what's going on. And sure enough, they ended up checking my lungs, man, and I had pneumonia. And so they had to put a big mask on my face and basically just start pumping out the liquid from your lungs. So it was just problem after problem after problem.
And then from there, they made that connection with the medicine and.
No, they never made the connection. No, they basically want to do a biopsy on me to see what may have caused the stroke. So till this day, nothing saying what caused it besides high blood pressure.
So the first one happened, you were unemployed. What were you doing? And then the one in 15?
So that one, I was a bail bondsman right down the street here for about 5 or 6 years.
So this happened 9 years ago or so. You haven't worked since?
No.
Stay-at-home dad?
Unfortunately, yeah. So hopefully I get back to work soon, but that's what it's been. I say unfortunately, but it's given me time to, watch my kids and watch them grow.
Yeah, I mean, you can make all their school functions. I mean,
True that, but being an extrovert, it's kind of hard because I want to be out, I want to be talking to people, I want to be seeing things. Like being in a house all day long, 24 hours a day, the walls grow on you. And so it's hard for me to be in the house. Even when I came out, all right, so let's go back a little bit. So when I came out of the hospital, I had I was unable to use the left side of my body, so I had no arm, I had no left leg. So I was in a wheelchair for 6 months. I was going to therapy, and so they got me back going lightly. So I went from a wheelchair to a walker. So I had the walker for another 6 months, and then I went to a cane for about a year and a half. And so that was a lot of downtime. And like in my head, I was like, oh, I'll be back to work in no time. And almost going on 9 years, so I'm not back to work.
shout out to Yesenia.
Yeah.
Seems like she's been your rock throughout this.
It's been tough, man. Going from 2 incomes down to one. So when it first happened, and you're given a state disability, which is temporary disability. And so, they're all like, oh, okay, like you get 1 year of disability, and then after that, just file for state disability, what is it called? Permanent disability, which they'll give to you right away. If not, you could get unemployment. I was all right, cool, no worries. And so when it comes time to file for permanent disability, they're like, no. So we fought the case for about 6 years. So basically 6 years with the one income. And
The brain bleed, that one was before kids?
yeah.
And then this past one, you had your daughter.
Yeah.
How did that affect your parenting? Going through, not just for you, but also for your girlfriend.
So one of the big things, or one of the takeaways, is like with Adriel, because he's young and he's curious, like, Dad, why can't you run? So like my daughter knows. My dad, Adriel being young, he's like, Dad, why can't you run?
But that's all he knows, right?
Yeah. So like he wants to go out and play soccer. Like, Dad, why can't you go outside and play soccer with me? And like, I could try, but
So why can't you bench 225?
So it's hard, man. So especially for me, because I was active, man. I was always in the gym, always riding my bike, always going for walks or always going for jogs. And for one day, just to stop and it's all gone. And I remember, like, at that time, my daughter being 3, she was already, like, playing soccer. And so I'd take her to the park and, kick the ball around with her. And with Adriel, when he was getting into soccer, that's something I couldn't do. Because right now I could get up and I could walk, but the last few years it's been hard. Because I wasn't able to get up and, walk as good as I do now. And, it's been 9 years, but it's still going slowly. I'm still able, like, I feel like I'm still recovering, but slowly.
So how do you explain to Adriel what happened?
I really can't, because there's nothing I could really tell him for a 7-year-old boy to understand that his dad has deficiencies, which I can't explain for him that dad's legs don't work the way they used to because dad has been in the hospital or whatever. There's nothing I could tell him that I don't think he'll understand, or my daughter does. Just I don't think he will.
Involved, I'm guessing you and Yesenia were, and then from that to your physical therapy. I'm assuming you have physical therapy.
Yeah.
Did you notice any change in Yesenia's part?
You know what? I can't really say that I've seen change. What it is in the household, you probably see more stress, man, because you go from being partners to being like, this is your role now. You have to take care of everything. Where before it was like, let's take care of everything. And it's a small thing, man. I remember one time, because you basically through, going down your road, you meet people or people that go through your situation, and you talk to them, and you try to be there for them. And I remember one time I was talking to somebody who we know, and they're like, "Well, Richard, what pushed you?" I was like, "You know what?" I was like, one day I was sitting on the couch, and I seen Yesenia had to go outside to take out the trash. And it just hit me, man. Like, why is she taking out the trash? That's supposed to be me. And it's something small and something dumb. But when there's a man in the house, that's like his job. It's always been his job. Like you see memes on Instagram or Facebook, where the guy always has to go outside and pull out the trash or whatever. And I was upset. I was like, you know what? I was like, she's not gonna take out the trash tomorrow. I was like, I'm gonna get my ass up and I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna do it myself, And it was hard, man. And I couldn't really do it. But I said, this is something I used to do. It's something simple. Why couldn't I do it? Because I don't try. So everything I do from now on, I basically have to try. And just watching my daughter and watching her grow, watching my son grow, it basically told myself, there's no way that I can't. There's no way that I'm not going to let myself try to be there for them the way I should, like the way I would have for my daughter when I was better.
Do you think it was a sense of almost feeling sorry for yourself?
It's more of a sense of I need to improve. Yeah.
What has it done to you mentally?
It breaks you down, and sometimes you think about why me, and you just have to tell yourself that it happened to you because you could do it, you could overcome it. You see people that go through less, and I see the people that go through more. And when I see people that go through more and they overcome it, then you have to step back and say, why am I complaining when this person has a way worse situation than I am, and yet they're not crying about it, they're not complaining about it, they're living through it. And so at some point you just have to realize you have to get yourself to where they're at, mentally, physically.
It could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
I mean, we had my dad on here a few weeks ago, and my nephew who was a victim of child abuse. And we've had a lot of things happen, but he wasn't expected to survive, and he has. So, I mean, I have dedicated a lot of my life, because that's basically one of my jobs now, is being a caregiver for him. And my brother, who has completely dedicated his life to being a full-time caregiver for him. And my body's sometimes shot, man.
Yeah.
My hip or my back just aches. I don't know, wallow in your own self-pity, I guess. Like, why us? Why me? But then you realize that it could be a lot worse, man.
Yeah.
Like, look at my nephew. Look at Adam. Like, he had his life basically stripped away from him, and he's still smiling. He's still laughing. So it's like where you have to ground yourself and think, you know what? Despite the challenges that we have and that we've faced, we're still blessed. At the end of the day, you can still go home and still see your kids, still play with your kids. Like we mentioned in the beginning, you're able to go attend your son's every school function that he has, whether it's just, read with me or a lunch picnic. And that's something that it will stay with him when he's older. And maybe when he's older and he finally realizes, what actually happened to my dad, and yet he was still there every single time. You're going through your own challenges, but yet you're still making a time for him. I mean, stays with him. It'll stay with him. Do you seek any type of therapy or counseling or anything?
You know what? It's funny. I was just going to a clinic here in Fresno, and they gave me therapy. And then one day they told me if I don't change my primary physician to their clinic, then they're going to have to cut me. So they cut me off. I never requested it again after that.
Do you not believe in it? Do you not see the...
No, you know what? I think getting things off your chest is good. But I felt that the couple times that I spoke to that woman, I think getting whatever I had on my chest at that time was good enough for me. I mentioned to you that sometimes you talk to other people or you see people that are in your same situation. I believe talking to them is a little more easier because they understand you. So when I was speaking to that therapist, she knows about me through books. But when I speak to people who've been through what I've been through, they know about what I've been through because of their own situation. So speaking to somebody who's gone through what I've gone through and what they've done to help ease their mind or help them get through the pain or get through life even, gives me a little more direction on what I needed to do. And so when I was in the hospital after the second stroke, I remember who do I talk to? Who do I turn to? And I remember a friend of mine from high school, she had a stroke as well, I believe a year or 2 years prior. And so there I am on Facebook, sending her messages like, hey man, I'm in the hospital. I just had a stroke. How this and how that. And so I always kept myself open to talking to people when they would ask me or if I would I'd be open to that conversation. Like I didn't want to close that door on anybody because I had somebody to talk to, and so like when it happens to somebody else, I kind of felt like should I talk to them? Should I find out like if they need information? So I don't know. I kind of felt like talking to people who've been through it was a little more helpful than talking to somebody who read a book about it.
How do you spend your free time? How do you keep your sanity when the kids are at school and your wife is at work?
It's been tough. Sometimes I want to say that I just waste time, man. Truthfully, scrolling through pages on the internet or whatever, just finding things to do. I hate sitting down and watching TV, so I don't really do that. I'm usually looking up recipes or something, man, something to ease my mind.
Is that one of your hobbies, cooking?
It was.
You're still in pretty good shape. Still work out.
Yeah, it's tough, man, because I was able to go into the gym and, like you mentioned, put up 2 plates or whatever, 250. But that's far from where I'm at now. I don't think I'm ever going to go back into a gym and try to bench press. So basically, I work with 5s and 10s, and that's about it.
Your girlfriend or wife, is girlfriend or wife?
Girlfriend, so yeah, well.
It either drives you apart or makes you guys closer. Do you feel like whether it was a child, what you guys have been through, do you guys feel like you're a lot closer? Do you see that she's your ride or die?
Well, it's been what, 14 years since we lost. Her name was Zuri. Since we lost Zuri, and you know what, Ben? When your significant other is pregnant, you kind of like grow a bond with the belly. You touch the belly and the baby kicks you, or whatever, and you kind of feel like little connections, right? And so when we lost her, I kind of felt lost. I can't tell you how she felt because I'm not her, but I was lost, man. I was so ready to be a dad, and I was so ready for this little girl to go into our world. And when she left us, like you just have like a lost piece of your heart. And I know for Yesenia it was bigger because she's the one carrying her. And Yesenia felt like she had lost something more than just a baby. She lost something that was basically a part of her. And I kind of feel like, she needed somebody to talk to as well. And she wasn't going to come around and say, like, hey, Richard, because, I feel like this way because I wasn't going through what she was going through. I was a father, but I was on the other end of the road. Me and her were not on the same side, right? And so I think if she would have had somebody who went through the same situation, like I had somebody who went through the same situation, I think it would have been a little more easier for her as well. I don't think she had somebody to talk to in terms of sharing her feelings and as what she had went through.
How did she cope?
It was just a lot of tears, man.
Sometimes that's all that is.
Yeah.
What have you learned from this whole experience?
You know what? Life goes on. It's tough to say, but when people say you got to roll with the punches, that's definitely what you got to do. And I try to tell my daughter, and I try to it's kind of hard to tell my son. But when things don't go the way, it's like, hey, man, that's okay. Things will get better. You just got to learn how to roll with the punches. And it's a little cliche or whatever, but it's the truth. Like Craig's dad said, you win some, you lose some, right? And it's probably the dumbest thing ever, but it's the truth. You want to sit there and wish or cry because something didn't go your way. You're just going to sit there and nothing's going to happen. You got to make your own results.
What kind of person were you before your kids? Did you notice a big change when you became a dad? Yeah,
man. Obviously, I was probably a big jackass. Want to be out, drinking and partying and doing dumb stuff. But when you have a daughter, man, and she looks at you and she calls you dad, you kind of ask yourself, what kind of dad is she? What kind of person are you gonna, what when she grows up, how's she gonna see you? What's her image gonna be of you? Are you gonna be that guy that was always drinking, or are you gonna be the guy who was always there for her?
What path do you want to pay for them to make sure when it comes to your daughter to avoid the type of guys like you were, and to prevent Adriel from
becoming
being the kind of guy that you were?
So my daughter's not really into guys yet, thankfully, or at least that I don't know of. But man, you just gotta show her the way, man. So when she has her father-daughter dances, man, I show up for her. Well, obviously with them in the same house, but you know, I get dressed up, man. So I don't show up like a slouch. I bring her flowers so she knows, you know, like she deserves her flowers. And even though I can't dance, man, I still go over to these dances and I chill there with the other dads. Hold up the wall with them because most of the girls just take off and leave their dads on the wall. But you just gotta show her, man. Like this is the way you got to be treated.
Do you treat mom that way?
I used to, man. It's harder now.
And what about your son? To make sure he's not the douchebag that his dad used to be.
Well, man, he kind of gets babied by his mom, so I gotta, you know, like let him know, like, oh, we can't do that, you know, like we gotta do it this way or do it that way, or you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. But I think he still has a little that little connection where his mom was like, oh, mom lets me do it, you know. It's like so I gotta talk to Yesenia and let her know, like, hey, you know, gotta be a little more strict with him because I see this or I see that, and I don't want to, you know, to lead him to be bad when he grows up.
Is he a mama's boy?
Oh, definitely.
Really?
Yeah, big time.
Does that impact you at all?
No, you know, I think it was because he was with me all the time when he was a little kid, and so when she would leave to work, he was there at home with me, and so he probably like grew tired of me, you know. But the thing is, like, when I'm there, like he'll still like walk up to me and grab my hand, and you know, to me it's like, okay, you know, he's still my little guy.
Looking ahead, what's your next step that you want to get to?
The main goal is happiness, man. So I want to be happy. I want Yesenia to be happy. I want my kids to be happy. Because if I say like I want my leg to get better or I want my mind to get better, those are things that are out of my control, right? So I could improve.
I think your mind is something you can try to control.
I can control. But the thing is like I have a lot of mind fog. I have a lot of short-term memory is like will like go away real fast. I have long-term, I have real good long-term memory. Short-term is really bad. My ability to speak is since stroke obviously worse or not as good as it used to be. Obviously being in sales, I was like real good. You know, like more witty type of person. So there's a lot of deficiencies that I could try to work on, and some that are probably just going to stick with me throughout life.
But what's your next goal right now that you can see?
Get back to the working road, man. That's what I want to do.
And what's keeping you right now from that? What needs to improve for you to get there?
Just self-confidence, really, probably. So being a confident person to basically having no confidence at all.
So it's more of your mental block that's preventing you from.
So yeah.
What are you doing to work on that?
How do I even work on it, man? That's the question.
Maybe if you went to therapy.
I'll just read the book on it, man.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on. Is there anything that we didn't cover and anything that you need off your chest?
No, man.
To avoid therapy in the future?
We're good.
People want to get in contact with you. What are your socials? Where can people find you?
Yeah, for sure. Instagram, it's Richie, 2 E's, RICHEE, 93638.
You can find me on TikTok, Dada and Boy, on Instagram and Facebook, Dada and Boys, on YouTube, the Dada and Boys podcast, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. So for Richard, I'm the dad with the A. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.